Hello and welcome to today's edition of Your Questions Answered with Father Gruner. I'm John Veneri. We take your questions and that you send to us. Keep them coming. Write to us at questions@thefatimacenter.com. We had a question of something was going on at the parish of this individual. What is Taize prayer? It is spelled T-A-I-Z-E. It is in my bulletin this week where there's an invitation to a prayer service. I looked at a few YouTube videos of these services. Is it something I should avoid? And he says, I know it's ecumenical.
Well, I mean, I think, John, you're actually more of a student of these things than I am. I would just like, Taize is a place in which they have this, for lack of a better word, monastery or community of prayer, which they have various people of various religions, I don't know, or of any or none, but anyway, who gather together and say prayers together, something like that. I don't know much more about it, other than I just know that, of course, the injunction of the law of God, which is we cannot join into prayer services with non-Catholics, because there's two things about it. One is that we would then be giving witness, falsely, but giving witness that their religion is pleasing to God when it isn't. There's only one true church, the Catholic Church, founded by Jesus Christ. And so for me to say the other church is perfectly okay would be a lie. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm not saying these people are bad people. I'm simply saying I cannot witness to say that what they're doing, that God is pleased with what they're doing. Now, God may be more pleased with them than they are because I'm a bad person, but that still doesn't make what their belief is right when we know their belief is wrong. Mm-hmm. And we know that by the faith. As the Council of Trent pointed out, we can still be wrong in what we do, but we can have the faith, the true faith. So if I believe what the Catholic Church has always taught, then I have the faith. It's not enough to save my soul, but it's necessary to save my soul to have the Catholic faith. And so by joining, here's two things. One is a danger to your faith, that you might be taken by you don't have enough, to resist. And why put yourself in danger?
The whole spirit is ecumenical, yes.
And so you put yourself in danger. And secondly, if you know you're giving witness to falsehood, then you're witnessing falsely, which is unpleasing to God, and then you're also breaking the first commandment by joining services which are not Catholic.
Yes, Taize is as you said, it's an ecumenical community. It's in France. There are Catholics there. It's a community of men, really, and they wear when they pray, they wear these white robe-like garments, and they call themselves brothers. And they're Protestant. It's quote unquote Christian. Okay, they don't have Hindus or that type of thing. Maybe they have visitors, but it's a so-called Christian community. It was founded in 1940, and it was kind of a prototype of ecumenism, of various religions, Catholics, Protestants, Eastern Orthodox, working together and having some sort of community life. And if you would see, say, a Taize prayer service, what you would see is they would have a Bible reading, and then they would have a moment of silence, and then they have a prayer, and the prayer is not, is not the root and toot and things that you hear at charismatics or things like that. It is a kind of a chant that they've developed, somewhat similar to what you hear in Eastern Orthodox, but at the same time, I shouldn't say Eastern Orthodox, Eastern Rite, but also very modern. The structures, the melodies are not as good as the Orthodox are, or the Eastern Rite are. But the whole point of it is the prayer service is to kind of enter an atmosphere of recollection. And so they have these chants, these repeating things that just, I won't say mesmerize, but it does bring you into an atmosphere of prayer. And therefore, to the modern man who doesn't know the problems with ecumenism, it can look pretty attractive. It's not attractive to me, but a lot of people can find it attractive. And I would say, he says it's just something I should avoid. Yes, I would avoid it because, as he says, it is ecumenical. It is bringing forth this new principle of unity of men of the true faith and men who do not have the true faith coming together in a religious camaraderie where the Catholic implicitly recognizes, as you said, the Protestant or the non-Catholic as having a legitimate path to God. Yes. Even though the average Protestant will deny belief in the Blessed Sacrament. I don't know that Brother Roger did, but denied belief in bedrock teachings of the Catholic faith.
Sure.
And
but you've talked about the use of words. The word ecumenical. Actually the 21 councils the Catholic Church has are all ecumenical
Yes.
councils.
Yeah.
So they've taken this word ecumenical, which is a Catholic word, and turned it into something meaning something else altogether. So
The Protestants redefined it around the early 20th century. They redefined it.
See, so the Catholic Church is one, holy, Catholic, and apostolic. The Catholic Church is one. It is part of it. One of its marks is it's unified, but it's unified within itself, and that's why the ecumenical council is the gathering of all into one, one roof or one council.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's so I mean, I understand today. It's like they use the word Holocaust. Holocaust, as a Jewish man says, is a religious term. A Holocaust in the Old Testament was a sacrifice offered to God. Now they've transferred that term into meaning something else. Similarly, they've changed this term ecumenical, and they've transferred it into meaning something else. And of course, that's what the trick of the modernists is, to take a word, a perfectly good word, and to redefine it to meaning something else. So it's not ecumenical in its traditional sense. It's ecumenical in the modern sense.
It's what Pius XI called the pan-Christian movement.
Yes.
And the thing is, one of the things we see in the post-conciliar orientation, and this is something was warned against by a very shrewd theologian, I wouldn't say shrewd, a very brilliant and very knowledgeable theologian in the 60s named Father Edward Hanaho. And he said that one of the things that quote-unquote Catholic ecumenists, one of their tactics is they pretend that the magisterium has not spoken on certain topics. Now, the magisterium of the past has spoken very clearly that there is only Mortalium Animus, the encyclical
of
Pius XI, 1926 or 28, one of the two, I think it's 26. And he says, and I've got it memorized, unity can only arise from one teaching authority, one law of belief, one faith of Christians. The true unity can only come by a return to the one true church from those who have left it.
Yes.
And he talks about the modern ecumenical movement being fair and alluring words that cloak a dangerous error subversive to the Church of Christ.
Yes.
So the modern Catholic ecumenists, even if they're in the highest places of the Vatican, they're pretending that the magisterium hasn't spoken.
And it has.
And it has spoken very clearly. And Pius XI, of course, was not just coming up with his way of seeing things. Mortalium Animus in that encyclical is based on the universal and ordinary magisterium perennial of the centuries.
Yes.
And so this is the type of thing that, and now what we just said about ecumenism, you will not read it in your parish bulletins.
No.
You won't see it in your diocesan newspapers.
Yes.
And so because it's not talked about, when people hear us saying things, they say, well, that's strange. And they don't realize that the faith that they should have been taught was not taught to them.
Yes, but that's why they need. We can back up everything you're saying, John, what I'm saying, by what the Church has always taught. Whatever came since 1960 in the Vatican Council, if it contradicts what the Church always taught, then it's got to be wrong. For the very simple reason that truth can't contradict itself. As St. Paul says in the letter to the Hebrews, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And his doctrine is the same yesterday, today, and forever. And so Christ founded one church. You are Peter, upon this rock I will build my church. He didn't say my churches, one church. So it's the same today, yesterday, and forever. And so if they have a new doctrine, it's got to be wrong because the old one is the one that came from Christ. And so, and if they think that we're making this stuff up, we can of course find out.
And because we are in the majority.
Yes.
Even if we look like we're in the minority now, because we're in the majority because we stand with what the Church always taught for 2,000 years, with all the saints, all the doctors of the Church, and all the Catholics that came before us. It is the modern ecumenical Catholic, quote unquote, who is actually in the minority, and it's not a matter of majority versus minority, it's the point of those who are in
the truth.
In the truth, the Catholic truth, and those who are not. So,
I mean, people promoting some of this stuff have been anathematized. That is, they've been saying, if you believe that, you're outside the church and you're going to hell. St. Paul says, if I, meaning St. Paul himself, if I or an angel from heaven comes down and teaches a doctrine different from what I gave you, let him be anathema. He's cast off. He's it's the same thing today. If an angel from heaven or the angel from the Vatican comes and says that there's more than one church, or that the Catholic Church is not the one only Catholic true church,
or that any religion is good enough for salvation.
Yes, all of that—that's heresy.
Yes. So anyway, so that's a little wrap-up of Taize and Ecumenism. There's much more to talk about, but we're out of time, and we will see you hopefully tomorrow.